I've seen things you people wouldn't believe.
All right. Welcome back, everyone, to episode number 30. It's
What
a
a
big
special
one.
episode.
It's a big
Yeah.
one of the Best Thing We've Seen podcast. My name is Flo.
And I'm Gabe.
We've done it again. We're doing a midnight special.
Even later than midnight.
It is very late. And the reason for that is, so basically, we just got out of Tenet. A couple of
3 hours ago.
Right, by now 3 hours ago. We've spent the last 2 hours or whatever in a bar with a group of friends discussing whatever it was that we just saw. And the reason why we're recording our episode now is because, and thanks to you, Gabe, for doing this. This is the only time I'm able to record this episode this week because I'm off on holiday starting tomorrow, and we're just gonna record this episode now. I'm gonna have to edit the episode on holiday. Well, which is fine. I'm actually looking forward to doing that. But I just didn't have time to record it before this episode is going to come out. So we had to do it now. We're doing it now. It's another midnight special. I'm excited.
A little bit of a late notice.
What do you mean? I told you we were going to have to record this tonight.
You said we're going to record this tomorrow. By tomorrow, I didn't think you would mean after midnight. I thought I don't know.
That's absolutely wrong. I'm gonna read the text. It's in German. Hold on. It's absolutely yes. Well, a week ago almost, I told you we have to record the Tenet episode right after it because I'm leaving the next day, and you were like, okay. You even said we're not supposed to talk about it after that.
Yeah. But I know. I think in my brain, just because when we're like, all right, let's go for a beer, I was like, all right.
Yeah, but I thought you had it on your mind. Like we'll drink a beer and then we'll head home and discuss it again. It's interesting because obviously now we know each other's
Opinions.
Right. So
Kind of. We don't know how much we kind of like the film, but we know what we didn't like.
Our initial impressions.
Yeah.
Yes. So we were either going to have to pretend to not know it and what did you think of the film, or just we're now saying it. We've discussed it.
I don't think we can rehash some topics that we already discussed just to kind of put into context. But yeah, sure. You want to start off? This is the film that you've been looking forward to for a long while.
Yes. So in case you're new to this show. We're not usually this chaotic. This is a random and special episode. But if you're new to the Best Thing We've Seen podcast, basically what we do once a week, Gabe and I sit down and we talk about the best thing we've seen all week, and we pick the best thing we've seen all week, the best newly released thing we've seen all week. And this week, we just talked a little bit before. I haven't seen anything other than Tenet this week. So I don't really have a choice. This has to be my pick. Whatever, even if I hated the film, I would have still had to pick that one. But what about you? Have you seen anything else this week?
I've seen one other thing, but the thing is, just because I knew we were going to watch Tenet, I was like, all right, I'm not going to watch anything else, just so I can talk about Tenet more, and just in case. So if I see something that I can pick it as my best thing maybe next week, because I thought Tenet's going to be the thing.
Yes.
And everything else is going to be sidetracked. I've seen one other thing which wasn't that special, I guess, but I guess we're going to get to it when we talk about Tenet. I think Tenet is still the best thing that I've seen. It's just
I was expecting this episode to be very
value.
Tenet heavy. Yes.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into it. I think if you haven't been living under a rock, this is sort of the film that I think a lot of people have heard of. Tenet, obviously the newest Christopher Nolan film. And I was thinking about this. Wouldn't you say that he's like the most well-known director of our generation?
He's like the mainstream outside the box director.
I think every person who's somewhat interested in films are going to watch this film. Or like,
Yeah.
like for example, if a new Steven Spielberg film comes out, like The Post or whatever, like recently, or Ready Player One, I don't think a lot of people would like.
I mean, everybody knows it's
Sure.
Spielberg.
Well,
but
I don't even.
Nobody like associates him with like what he's done. Is like, all right, it's Spielberg. Everybody knows the name, but a lot of people haven't seen like the classics.
Yeah. But I think Christopher Nolan, he's like, everyone knows who he is. Everyone knows the movies that he made, and everyone is sort of excited for this new one, I would assume. Even though some people might still be apprehensive of like going to the movies, like to the cinema, because I mean, this was my first time back, and I was sort of waiting for this one to be sort of the epic movie for my return.
Everybody throwing popcorn at your feet.
Yes. Yeah.
But the thing is, I mean, I've talked to a couple of people who actually listen to the podcast. Thank you.
Do you mean actually listen? Everyone's listening to this.
I hope so, yeah. But I've talked to people, and not everybody's like that much into films or watch them regularly or isn't that well versed in names.
Right.
So if you don't know who Christopher Nolan is, even if you know his name, he's the guy who made Inception, the new Batman films, Interstellar, and so on. Dunkirk recently.
Yeah. Yeah. See, I think everyone knows that. I think he's
I've
like
talked
the
to people
one director.
They do like films, but they're not. They like don't pay as much attention to like directors' name.
Right.
For us, it's like a given to know his name.
No, but that's
for
what
a
I'm
lot of
saying.
people who
I think he's the one person who sort of transcends that. I think even the people, even
a
the,
bit more, yeah.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's get into it, dude.
Sure.
Tenet.
Before we get into what we thought about the film, what did you expect of the film? I mean, because you, different from me, you actually watched the trailer,
Yes.
and you told me like 2 hours ago you read some reviews,
Right.
So, what was your like mindset going into the film?
So this was the film that I was most looking forward to this year, 2020. I knew a Christopher Nolan film was coming out, even though like I didn't love his last projects. Like I didn't love Dunkirk, I didn't love Interstellar. He's still one of my favorite directors. And so I knew a new Nolan film was coming out. It's about time again, which most of his films are. And I was excited about it. I was really excited about it. And when I heard about the casting, I mean, you got Robert Pattinson and John David Washington and Elizabeth Debicki, I think her name is. And you got a lot of great people in there. I was excited for this, really excited for this. And I was because there's like two movies this year that I'm like super excited about. It's Tenet and Dune. And Dune, I'm only excited about because of the director. I would have zero interest in that movie if it wasn't directed by Denis Villeneuve. Because I mean, we even saw the first one together, and I hated that movie. Like I literally
It wasn't great. Yeah.
No. So Tenet was my most anticipated one. And then a couple of days ago, some of the critics that I'm following on social media, they were posting their first reactions to it, and pretty much all of them were pretty mediocre. And I was like, oh, that's a shame, because my excitement level was this high, and then when I saw that, it was like, okay, we're gonna have to lower our expectations a bit. So I went in knowing that a lot of people thought this was only mediocre, and yeah, I mean, that's the reason why I wouldn't say I'm disappointed, but I was hoping for a lot more than what I got.
Yeah.
I did not love this movie.
It was very different than anything that I could have expected.
What did you
to be
expect?
honest.
Yeah, what did you expect?
I knew something with time. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, something with time. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it would be more fleshed out, because to be clear, we're not gonna name any spoilers.
I was
And
thinking
the thing
about this,
is,
dude.
we
Maybe
can't
we should
really-
do both, because if this episode is only going to be Tenet, maybe we should do a non-spoiler section and then talk a little bit more in depth about it. In the
Yeah,
second.
but the thing is, we do it so recently after the film. I think nobody has actually seen it.
No, but look, this episode comes out on Monday. This comes out the weekend, like after the weekend the movie was.
Yeah, but
first
like
opened.
in those times, I don't know how many people are like running to the cinema to see recent films.
Well,
But
they
sure,
can always
we can do
skip it. I think we should do a spoiler
The
section.
thing is, what I just want to say, we won't name that many spoilers just because we don't know what the fuck the story was actually about.
We couldn't name spoilers.
Yeah. Just the actual story, I could not retell you. I can tell
Yeah.
you like scenes from the film,
Yeah.
but what was actually going on, why people did anything in this film, is just a fucking mystery to me.
Well, I'm gonna set you up. Please explain to our listeners what Tenet is about in a couple of words.
All right, it's the protagonist, John Davis,
John David Washington.
John David Washington is a guy who kind of gets involved with a program who kind of travel back in time. There's a thing that kind of can set people like kind of back in time, and by back in time, not like they end up in a different place in time, but they kind of go backwards into history. So
yeah,
they kind of walk backwards through time. So when everybody walks straight, they walk kind of backwards. For them, it's normal. But
I don't know if this makes any sense.
Yeah.
Well, inverted was the term they used. No?
Yeah, sure, inverted. They kind of start off the film with saying like, it's impossible to understand, so don't even try. It's kind of the explanation for what the fuck's going on.
Yeah. I mean,
so
even the filmmakers were like, don't pay too much, like, don't worry about it, just go with it.
So they're like inverted objects. When like an inverted gun, when you shoot it, it doesn't shoot bullets, but the bullets come back into the gun. That's how they kind of start off explaining the whole thing. Which doesn't really come back later in the film, which is quite unnecessary.
Someone in the future has developed this, and now in the now, if that makes sense, they're sort of discovering it, and I mean, it is a clusterfuck. It is a mindfuck.
Apparently, it can end the world, because if you kind of use too much, it's even worse than nuclear holocaust, as they say. Because
well, if what do you mean if they use it too much? It's like there is a big villain behind the whole thing.
Yeah, sure. But it's like, as they kind of start off explaining, it's like, if that's the thing, and if it kind of gets out of hand, everything will just stop existing. And yeah,
sure.
It's so hard to talk about.
It is very difficult to explain, because that's one of the main issues I have with the film is I could not follow along with the story. I'm not going to say at all, but for the most of it, yeah.
It's so hard, because like the first 30 minutes was like, what is going on? Did I miss something? Did just my mind drift off and I didn't understand something? Because the thing is, if you miss a beat of this film, you won't know what the fuck's going on, because the name of the name, the location of the location, they kind of swap, and he kind of talks with different people. And if you miss just a name or something that's going on, you won't get what the fuck is going on.
Well, I don't know.
Switched so much, and the little details.
How did you feel about the dialogue in general? Because I mean, we watched this in IMAX, so there's like a great sound. I like and by the way, the opening scene I thought was great, and I had goosebumps all over the place. Like, first time back in the cinema of like 5 months, and the sound was incredible. I loved the opening, but throughout the whole film, I could not understand a lot of the dialogue, because it's like either screamed or there's like explosions going on in the background. It's like, what the hell are you saying?
Like jet engines going off in the background. They kind of scream it over, and whatever is going on in the background, and it's impossible to understand at times.
Yeah,
and it's just, I mean, I get it. It's like supposed to immerse you. It's like the situation allows going on, but if you don't know what they're actually saying, or you can't lip read, it's impossible at times.
Yeah.
And you kind of start guessing what is going on, actually, because also I think Christopher Nolan, he tries to make it more real, so people mumble more than like they do speak clearly, like in theater or whatever. It makes it so hard, because sure, people mumble in real life. I do myself, but if an
we're doing it right now.
Tries to, I know.
No, I'm saying we're doing it. We're doing it. Yeah, we're. And by the way, first of all, we have to say, obviously, we just watched this like 2 hours ago, 3 hours ago. These are our initial impressions. This might change. This is a very like in the moment reaction right now, and we're just discussing it out. We need to process the whole thing more, but
of course, yeah. But I mean, there are just those scenes where people give you this big exposition about what is going on, what like the whole rules of this universe are.
Yeah.
And they kind of mumble it or do it through screaming, through gunfire.
Yeah.
And they don't explain it again. So if you don't understand what they're saying in this moment right now, and you don't watch it in DVD and you can't played back.
Yeah, no subtitles.
You don't know.
Whatever,
Yeah, it's so fucking hard. I mean,
it is difficult.
If you actually want me to explain the story in a coherent way, I couldn't. I could tell you scene after scene what happens.
Right.
But I couldn't actually tell you what is happening.
Right. And
If
I
that
thought
makes
about
any
this,
sense.
and I want to hear your opinion on this. So, I've heard a lot of people say this about Dunkirk, that you don't care about the characters in Dunkirk because you have little to no backstories on them or whatever. And I did not echo that criticism, because for me, the story of Dunkirk and the way that Christopher Nolan told that story was enough for me to get involved and to be immersed in the story. And I liked that movie. I didn't love it, but I liked that movie. And they have like this, as in Dunkirk, they use the gimmick of telling a story through different perspectives and different timelines there. In Tenet, obviously, you have this whole inversion thing, and that's the main gimmick of this movie, where a lot of things are happening backwards or whatever. I don't know how to best explain this, but I think does that make sense? It happens backwards, like
they kind of show a scene, then they show kind of backwards.
Yeah, but even like on the ships, whatever the ship is, like traveling backwards in time or whatever, and that's a gimmick. It's a great idea. But what my issue was in Tenet, you have that gimmick, and I would say that the characters in Tenet are similarly like they're yes, you don't know anything about them and you don't care about them like in Dunkirk. But what Dunkirk managed to do with its story, Tenet failed to do, because you have the gimmick of the inverted thing, and you have characters you don't really care about, and you cannot follow the story. And maybe it was just us being stupid or whatever, but my issue with this was you have the gimmick and that's it. You can't follow along with the story, and you don't care about the characters, so I didn't really care about the film. I was like, okay, I like the gimmick, which after you've seen it for the 5th time, it gets, I don't want to say boring, but you've like seen it before. I think that's like the main thing. I couldn't follow along with the story, and I can tell you like the main pillars of the story, but maybe even if I could follow along the story, wouldn't be exciting enough or whatever. It was just, I'm just very disappointed by it right now. It's so,
For all
it's a
the
shame.
action and all the special effects and all the kind of cool things that it has in the film.
It has some cool things. Yeah. I mean, some of the action scenes are great. We have to say that.
It is, and it's well made. But like the difference is because it's a cool gimmick. But if you kind of compare to Dunkirk is kind of a universal thing. Just putting yourself in the shoes of somebody who's actually in World War II, because that's a real thing. But it's just this blank character with nothing being explained. He's not like he's scared of something, or he's like this super badass CIA guy. He doesn't care if he lives or dies. He can beat up anybody, and he's like, he doesn't really question a lot of what is going on.
Right.
He questions it in like the first 2 minutes, and they explain he's on board and he does whatever he does. But Dunkirk is a real kind of story, and you kind of feel it, because if you're actually in the situation, because kind of the protagonist, or like the guy who's also on the cover of Dunkirk, is an actually scary kind of situation. He's like kind of thrown into it, and that's how you kind of feel as an audience member. And you hear the explosion, and you just want to get out of there.
Yeah.
If you were on that beach in Dunkirk. But as John David Washington is just this super guy, and he does whatever the story tells him to, and that's the only reason he kind of does it, I feel like. Because I felt during the film was like, this kind of reminds me of Inception, just the over-the-top concept. But Inception has had more fun characters, and the characters explain in a more approachable way. And even a lot of people say Inception is quite complicated. It's not that complicated, I think, if you kind of get into the whole concept of it.
Yes.
But the thing is, the concept is actually explained. And that's why you, even if you don't completely understand, you kind of get behind what is actually going on. But in this film, it's so over the top that you can't actually follow, and that's why you don't actually care, because if you don't know what is going on, you're just watching cool pictures. And that's not, yeah.
But do you get what I mean with the story thing compared to Dunkirk, where it's like that's the main thing that was sort of.
Yeah, but I think even if like the characters are that explained, the situations are something that you can kind of put yourself into, and that makes it interesting.
Well, but I would agree with like the beach scenes, with the bombing on the beach, for example. But over like the whole Dunkirk, because the main story of it is like where it's played on like the on the ocean. No, I mean you got the one guy who's flying, you got the one guy on the boat.
It's kind of approachable of like the son who just wants to help his dad, and then can.
I guess, but that was a critique that a lot of people had. That was a criticism that people were like, I didn't care about those characters either, so I didn't care what happened to them. And I was like, yeah, I kind of agree, but sort of, I don't know, man.
Felt more real because it is kind of based on a real story, and it just felt like you
it is
get a bit of a glimpse into what it would be like if you were on that day in the war. That's why I cared about the film. Mm-hmm. I mean, Dunkirk, I didn't necessarily love it, but I really liked it.
Yeah.
In this film, I don't know, if you don't have characters to kind of follow, and if you don't have a story to follow, it's just empty.
Yeah, it pains me to say, but yeah, I kind of agree. I mean, the villain, which is not a spoiler, Kenneth
Branagh.
Kenneth Branagh. Kenneth Branagh. I mean, sure. I told you this when we spoke before. It's like there's some scenes in this where I'm like, in any other film, this would be a ridiculous and over the top scene, and we were like, what is going on? That's laughable. But when it's in a Nolan film, you're like, I guess that's cool, but you shouldn't think that way. I mean, I did not like his role. I'm not necessarily denigrating his performance. I'm like, I didn't like his character and his role. It was like just such a bog standard movie villain, where you could argue that obviously the means that he takes and the whole concept in which he operates is exciting and interesting, because it's got this inversion element to it, which is something that we've never seen before, and it looks great on screen. But if it wasn't for that, it would just be the most boring villain ever.
Yeah, I mean, I think the kind of movie kind of gets too much into itself. It's like, this is the whole concept, and it's so intelligent, so get behind it.
Right.
Even if it's not.
What did you think of the cast overall? Did you like the main, like Pattinson? I thought Pattinson was good.
I thought so too, but then towards the end, he became so incredibly cheesy, especially like the last couple of scenes.
Yeah.
Which were like over the top exposition and just look at me. It felt like this over the top patriotic, not because it's patriotic, not because it is patriotic, but in those patriotic films, when they have those cool scenes with the guys with the cool one-liners, and they do this kind of banter or whatever, and look at each other like the sun is setting behind them. It felt so incredibly over the top.
Come on now.
Come on.
There were no cheesy one-liners in this. Yeah, but
well, all the characters talk like they're extremely cool people.
I agree. I would agree, especially
which makes it
the main character.
Ridiculous, yeah.
Yes.
I mean, he has a couple of funny lines, like, how would you like to die? Old.
That was a good one.
Yeah.
And there were like 2 or 3 scenes that really made me laugh. Like, do you remember the guy wanted to finish his curry or whatever?
Yeah, that was a good line.
Which is, by the way, a scene that makes no sense. Who would continue eating in that situation?
Well, if the guy tells you to.
But he's like, you don't want to get it let it get cold or whatever, right? Isn't that the joke? It's like, but come on, who says that? Like, he has a gun pointed to his head, and he's like, no, I want to finish my curry before it gets cold. What are we talking about?
Well, if he tells you, well, don't let it get cold, I would eat it as well, because the guy kind of tells you to kind of eat your curry in a way. I'd eat it as well.
No, but he ate it like very, very like passionately. It's like, wasn't it? And didn't he say the line after he ate?
Wasn't no, you see him
say
it, and then cuts to the guys just sitting there with like their plates in their hands, shoveling into their mouths.
Okay, yeah, I guess. I mean, that's sort of a line. and I always mention Thor Ragnarok in this, where it is funny, but it makes no sense why this would happen now. It is only in the film for us to laugh, for the audience to laugh. And the best comedic moments in films are moments that would actually make sense in the film, like in The Martian. I always mention The Martian.
But
you know what I mean? It's
the
like,
film has
I usually don't like these
another kind of
moments.
stakes. This film's like world annihilation, and then if you have those kind of jokes, it feels more over the top than it does in like The Martian, because it's just this one guy's survival and he kind of makes jokes to keep his spirits up. But here it felt more like a Bond film.
I agree completely.
But it's not.
I agree completely, but I don't think they overdid it with the jokes. They were like very, very. There's like 2 or 3 jokes in there.
No, not necessarily just the jokes, but like the one-liners and how he kind of delivers it, how he wants to be funny in those not funny situations. I mean, yeah, it
Were there
is
that
funny,
many
but
one-liners?
but it's not that fitting. Yeah, like Eat Your Curry, or how it like old and kind of
I thought
other scenes.
that didn't bother me. I thought they like those scenes were very limited, so I was like, and most of them made me laugh. So I was like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. And as I said before, I think the action scenes are pretty great. I mean, the whole like convoy scene where they're like on the fire truck and whatever, and taking over that, and obviously breaking into that other armored truck or whatever. I thought that was a great scene.
I felt it felt more standard. It's like this typical action sequence. I thought the more impressive scenes were like where it's one guy's going forward in time, one guy's going backward in time. So it's kind of, it's so hard to explain. If you heard us talking about those things, you have no idea what is going on. The thing is, imagine one guy being filmed and you kind of play it backwards. So he does everything backwards and the other guy's being normal.
Yeah. I mean, if you watch the trailer, I mean, it doesn't really give away I don't remember. I haven't seen all the trailers. I didn't want to know too much before I saw it, but and I keep mentioning this gimmick, but that's sort of the gimmick of the film. You have this inversion thing, which is difficult to explain without you actually seeing it. But I think, as I said before, I think it made for some great moments, but it wasn't enough for me to make the movie great as a whole. I don't know. I like the action scenes, and obviously, as I said, the opening I thought was great. I really liked the opening. Had goosebumps all over the place when and the music is when the music kicked in the opening, which is not Hans Zimmer, which I thought was interesting because Nolan usually uses Hans, good old friend Hans, and it's done by the guy who did Black Panther, who won an Oscar for Black Panther, Ludwig Göransson.
All right.
Don't know how to pronounce his name.
Sure.
Well, Black Panther. Yeah, he won. I think he won.
I know Black Panther. Yeah.
Yeah. You've heard of the film?
Sure.
Yeah.
It's like, the one with Spider-Man, right?
It is the one with Spider-Man. Yes.
Right.
Completely agree.
Great one.
See, actually, I didn't think of this before. I would have loved to see Andy Serkis instead of Kenneth Branagh.
And it's a Russian guy.
Well, yeah,
because it's kind of relies on the story for him to be a Russian.
Well, yes, but just his character in Black Panther as sort of the one of the villains in Black Panther. I thought, for whatever reason, when I saw Kenneth Branagh in the film, I was like, because I was like, I don't really enjoy him. Who else would I have preferred? And I was like, maybe Andy Serkis. I don't know, maybe because of his Black Panther role.
Maybe, but I think it would have seemed more kind of ridiculous because when you can know him from Black Panther as a villain. It seems weird, maybe.
Surely it's not as ridiculous as a Russian Kenneth Branagh. I mean,
maybe. I mean, in the end, they should have just picked a Russian guy.
Yeah,
I mean, come on. Yeah. It's Christopher Nolan. I'm sure he has a lot of context and a lot of good casting people who can actually pick someone from Russia who can act.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I understand why they don't do it because it sort of sells tickets.
Way easier.
And also, you want to see someone that you know. But whatever, I don't know.
But then again, I don't think anybody saw Tenet because of Kenneth Branagh.
No, but maybe some people.
Dude,
some Shakespeare fans. Some Shakespeare fans. I don't know.
Sure, but I don't think they actually watch Tenet. Like guys who actually just watch Shakespeare films. And what's the film that he directed? Henry VIII.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
But the last main actor that we haven't talked about is, or we mentioned briefly, Elizabeth Debicki. I thought she was great. She was recently in. Why are you laughing? That's her name. It's hilarious. It's her name.
No. The main actress, and you kind of say the name as if anybody knows that person.
If you watched Guardians of the Galaxy 2, you know her. If you watched, there's some great films with her. The Burnt Orange Heresy, great film with her. She was also in a movie with Laura Dern called, was it The Tale, I think? Hold on a second. I need to look this up. Great movie where she plays opposite Laura Dern. I think it's The Tale. I'm looking this up. It is The Tale. Yep. Great movie. I think some people might know her. And she was also in Widows, if you remember her, in Widows.
I do not remember.
I think once
Widows,
you see her, you don't forget about her because she's super tall.
She is, yeah.
Very recognizable face. And I think she's a really, really good actress. And I thought she was sort of the maybe bright spot is a bit too much, but I liked her in this movie. I thought her performance was good. She was the character that I cared most about. And, but not even, that's not saying much.
Kind of the only person you actually know, like her family and like why she's behind all of this.
Yes.
Because the other people just do what they're doing just because, I don't know, the director told them to.
I was going to say, because Chris told him to do it.
Yeah. But she actually has a couple of stakes and she kind of wants to save her son.
Yeah.
So she has the only emotional kind of connection in this whole film.
Yes.
But I was actually looking forward to Robert Pattinson in this film because lately I've been enjoying him more and I really actually like him by now.
I think he's great.
He's a great actor, yeah. And I actually, while I was watching the film, was like, yeah, dude, he's kind of a cool character. I really enjoy his performance and he's kind of cool. But as I said, like towards the end, like so much of the film kind of loses meaning as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, and maybe it's our fault, but it's just so confusing at times. I was really, some of the time I was like, what is going on right now? Why are we doing what we're doing right now? Why aren't you, and we talked about the different scenarios when we spoke before. It's like, why don't you just do that instead? Yeah. Like, what the hell is going on? And one could argue maybe if you went the easy route, you wouldn't have a movie. But it's just like, some of it just doesn't make sense, or didn't make sense. And maybe on a second watch, it's better. But to be honest with you, and that's sort of, it pains me to say it once again, I don't really, maybe it's because I just saw it like 3 hours ago, but I'm not going to rush out to see this again.
Yeah, me neither. I thought as well, it would
maybe
be
one day.
A perfect film to rewatch because the whole kind of point of it is some of it is inverse and you can only get it later why some things happen.
Yeah.
And it would be great to rewatch just because of that, but I don't think you get anything out of it.
Well,
you're like, all right, I kind of see some details, but I don't think it makes the movie much better.
Well, I think some of the reveals in the movie worked for me, and I was like, okay, that is cool. But then again, it is a movie that is sort of, it is not time travel, but it centers or it plays with time, and everything that happens within this movie I have seen so many times before. And in every other film that plays with time, you have the same scenarios. And I was like, yeah, it's great to see it on a big budget, but it's nothing that I haven't seen before. Like, sorry, the inversion, the inverted thing, yes, that's cool. But then again, that's just another way of traveling through time. And,
it's just more complex, I guess. Yeah. But normal time travel things are just more fun because
easier to follow along.
Yeah, it's more easy to follow along and just not. All right, here you have the exact same scene just reverted. It's cool to watch, but not, I think, on a rewatch.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of do want to see it again, but I don't know how I feel about it in the next couple of days.
I mean, we kind of talked about other Nolan films.
Yeah.
Earlier today.
Yeah.
But I just from the kind of the logic and how much I enjoyed it, I would compare it more to Interstellar, which is another Nolan film that I didn't enjoy.
You didn't like Interstellar, yeah. I like that movie. I don't love it. Well, once I said that now on Dunkirk and Interstellar. I like all of Nolan's work, but
I think it has a lot of parallels. Just a lot of exposition because of just things about physics things just being explained like over the top, and then those concepts getting way out of bounds, and you don't feel like any of this feels like people would actually do if they had like a physics degree. Like, this is what is happening. I mean, a friend of yours who was at the bar also mentioned this was like black holes.
Max, let's call him
Max.
out. One of the two.
Max and Maxi, yeah. And I absolutely agree with him. Like, people explaining black holes to other astronauts, that's why?
But I still think that Interstellar was easier to follow along than Tenet.
Yeah, sure. Because they spent more time on what they're actually doing. They kind of repeat what is actually going on because it's kind of a complex concept.
I was going to say, I think generally the concept is just simpler in Interstellar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's one thing that kind of gets repeated throughout.
Yeah.
And yeah, with Tenet, I was actually thinking for a while, I don't know, am I not just paying attention? Because for a while I kind of did zone out, to be honest, and thought about something completely different. I was like, all right, I should listen. They're going to name 5 names, and one of them is going to be important.
Yeah.
And this is one like art dealer, which we talked about, and you actually asked in the bar, like, who is that guy? Did we actually see him? And it's a legitimate question, because if you didn't pay attention for like 2 minutes, you'd miss it. So, I don't know. It's just too much. It's not a recommendation for anybody who wants to watch a film, just enjoy it on like I don't know, normal level.
I think it is worth the time for, like, if you want to go back to the movies, to the cinema, that it is a spectacle. It is an epic film.
If you watch in IMAX.
Yes, but I mean, it would also be great if it's not in IMAX.
I think like a big part of this film is like the soundtrack and like the action scenes, and I think
but they're still
that is why you should watch it.
Not IMAX. They're obviously better in IMAX,
but I think you should watch it more for the action and the story, and in IMAX you get more out of the action.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the whole audience, I mean, we saw this in a pretty packed theater, obviously, like with restricted, and like we had some, obviously with social distancing and everything, and seats between us, but I just felt the whole, like, I don't think anyone in that theater visibly enjoyed this film as much as they would have hoped. Yeah. I think this was just generally like a flatness in the audience. I don't know. It just, I was expecting so much more, and it just kind of really disappointed me, unfortunately.
And there were a lot of laughs, just a couple of scenes of one
cheesy lines,
that were so cheesy or over the top, and I understand why they laughed.
Right.
I mean, absolutely do. I was like, all right, that seems quite ridiculous.
They were not Schwarzenegger lines. They were not like one-liners.
No,
they were just like,
It was still quite over the top.
Yeah. I mean, and also it's a long movie. This is like 2 hours 30. So strap
and you feel
in.
it. Yeah.
Yes. But I wouldn't say it's too long. I really wouldn't. I think it's just about right. Maybe like 5 or 10 minutes, but not much more.
Yeah, I don't know. I think not necessarily the length was the problem, just the scenes that they chose, which make it seem long.
Yeah.
Because,
I mean, it's a tough one, man. It's a tough one. Because when I think back of it, now, some scenes I really loved, but most of the scenes I'm pretty disappointed by.
It's just very forgettable. Just because if you don't know what is going on, you just remember like 2 action scenes which look cool, but still don't make a lot of sense when you think about them.
Yeah.
Which you talked about, the guy just pulling the trigger.
What do you mean?
When they're in an art gallery.
Yes.
Yeah, which doesn't make sense to me.
Right.
But,
right.
I mean, then again, maybe if I watch it again, then
Yes. Well, we didn't do the spoiler section now, so let's not talk about that.
No.
No, absolutely. I'm just saying that let's not expand on that.
No, I won't.
But yeah, I mean, I got a kick of some of the cast members that I didn't know were in that movie. I mean, for example, like Hamish Patel, the guy from Yesterday. What the hell was he doing in this movie? I know when he was on the screen, I was like, I actually remember his announcement, like when he was like cast in the film, and I completely forgot about it. And also Aaron Taylor Johnson, who we spoke about on our Jake Gyllenhaal special, for example.
Did not recognize until like the end
of
the film.
Yeah. I mean, he's great in Nocturnal Animals, and he's
Yeah.
got a very not a smallish part in Tenet as well.
Yeah. But he just looks so different from film to film.
Do you think so? I
Like if
don't
you
want to
compare
brag, but
Kick-Ass to Nocturnal Animals to Tenet, completely different person for me.
sure,
Would not
but
have recognized him.
I'm thinking he's still recognizable.
To be honest, I didn't get that he was the same guy as in Kick-Ass. I just noticed after you actually told me.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, it speaks to him. He's a great actor. I like him a lot.
He is, and I'd love to see him in more, maybe.
Yeah, he was
different films.
somewhat wasted in Tenet.
Yeah, he's like this military guy.
Yeah.
That's it. That's his whole kind of role.
Yeah.
Too bad, but yeah.
Anyway, I mean,
We do want to do a spoiler section of the film.
I don't think so. I think
because I think
we're already like 40 minutes in. I thought this was going to be a short episode, but
40 minutes.
40 minutes. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I think that's.
I think. I mean, it is the best thing I've seen, and I said that by technicality, it is. But I just said that I didn't want to rewatch it again. I do want to rewatch it sometime in the future. I'm not rushing out to see it again next week, but I do want to sort of, maybe I've missed some things, but overall, unfortunately, I am disappointed. Which
I wouldn't jump at the chance to gonna see it again.
Yeah,
maybe at some point when I gonna meet somebody who's like, I've never seen Tenet. So I was like, all right, let's watch it.
One of our local cinemas is supposed to show it in 70mm in the fall, so I will be looking forward to that. That will be like a nice time to rewatch it, I think.
Maybe.
So what's the other thing you saw?
The other thing, well, it's a bit of a little thing, and it wasn't that good, to be honest, as well.
Great.
Hoops. It's a cartoon now on Netflix. Netflix cartoon. Yes. With Jake Johnson in the leading role.
Right.
Did you hear about this? Because I know you kind of like Jake Johnson, but I guess not, because you're not that into cartoons. Yeah, I think so.
I have not heard of it. I'm not a big Jake Johnson fan, no. I like him in Drinking Buddies.
I haven't seen that, so yeah.
Well, we talked about it a couple of episodes ago.
Yeah. But Hoops, he kind of plays this Spielberg kind of guy. Just
sorry, all over the place. I remember us talking about it in the Jake Gyllenhaal special.
Didn't we talk about it in the last episode?
No, because it was End of Watch with Anna Kendrick, and it was
right.
Yeah. Sorry.
No, it's just, I don't know. It's very. I watched it and I kind of enjoyed it. Just because the cartoon, it's no. It's a very over the top cartoon.
No, a series or a film.
Right. It's a TV show.
Okay.
It's a series.
Yeah. Okay.
And he plays this basketball coach, which reminded me so much of Ted Lasso, because I watched it like the same day or the day after you told me that.
You watched Ted Lasso?
No, you told me about Ted Lasso in the last episode, and after we stopped recording, like on the same day or the day after, I watched Hoops. And it's about this basketball coach in Kentucky, and his whole team sucks. And he kind of finds this 7-foot tall player, wants to recruit him.
Right.
And he's going through a divorce, or he doesn't want to sign the divorce papers because he still believes his wife wants to get back together. And so his kind of friend is banging her, and he's cool with it, apparently.
Sure.
It's an alright cartoon.
I'm looking this up now. It's got like a 5.7 on IMDb. But you finished it, have you?
It is. Yeah, I have. It's like 10 episodes, so.
Right.
It's alright.
I just want to, because you mentioned Ted Lasso, I just want to say this real quick as well. Jason Sudeikis, the main star of the show, he liked our tweet about because I obviously
shout out to Jason
Sudeikis. I mean, we had Ricky Gervais liking and retweeting our tweet when we talked about Afterlife. Now we had Jason Sudeikis. I didn't even tag him in the tweet. He was just randomly liking tweets that had Ted Lasso in them. So it wasn't as special as maybe the Ricky Gervais one. But still, thank you. It was like, because I got like a notification on my phone. It's like, Jason Sudeikis liked your tweet. And I was like, okay, sure, that's some fan account or whatever. And I looked it up. It's like, no, it's the actual Jason Sudeikis. Great, so thank you, Jason. So yeah, I just wanted to throw that in.
Yeah, all our celebrity friends.
Yeah, we have 2 now.
Welcome back.
Isn't it great? Yeah. Building
great
slowly. Yeah. Well, Hoops isn't. Well, that's not a recommendation either, is it then?
like I said, it's all right.
It's
If
all
you
right.
like cartoons and you just need something to watch in the evening just to kind of, I don't know, wind out.
But your pick
Yeah.
is still Tenet.
It is technically better. I guess.
What do you mean
Hoops-
technically? You have to decide, my friend. That's the show.
No, Tenet is my pick.
Okay.
Just because it is a better product.
Right.
But yeah.
I'm
it
really
won by
interested.
technicality because none of those things are like great, but it's still like the best thing. So
Yeah. I'm really interested in seeing how well Tenet performs. Like, obviously, a lot of people don't want to go to the cinema, and it obviously also like opens in the States. Some, like, I don't know when, but we're actually getting this before them.
yeah, and even they did get it only in like selected theaters.
Limited release. Yeah,
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting to see when this is going to be released wide in the States. I mean, obviously they don't have their shit together as well as we do, fortunately. And I mean, everything's numbers are going back up and stuff, and we don't want to talk about it, obviously. But I mean, it's interesting because this was supposed to be like Tenet was supposed to be the film to sort of reinvigorate the cinema.
I mean,
And
I think
Nolan
it's
was like
getting people out there.
Yeah, but I mean, Nolan was also like, he was stubborn about this. I am gonna release this in cinemas. I don't want people to stream this, and I'm happy that he did, and I'm hoping that a lot of people will get the chance to see it. But on the other hand, I'm hoping the film, I would have hoped that the film was better.
Yeah, I actually looked it up on IMDb for whatever reason, and it has a positive Metacritic score, and like the user score was like 8.4, and I was like, all right, it's like the Nolan guys going out and like watching his films. But yeah,
I'm interested what the general audience is going to say.
Yeah, I'm also I was just gonna say like, I'm excited to see how much the score is gonna drop because it's not gonna stay there.
Well, it's at 8.2 right now.
All right,
by the time this show
0.2.
comes out, it's a couple of days we're recording this a couple of days in advance, but I'm sure my prediction would be that it's gonna drop instead of rise, unfortunately. But
I'm gonna say it's gonna be low 7 because it's never gonna go beneath 7 just because it's Nolan.
Yeah. I mean, what would you rate this film out of interest right now? What did you like? If you could give like a decimal score as well, what would you give it? First impression. Obviously, this changes tomorrow, whatever.
A 4.
A 4.
Yeah.
Wow.
What would you say?
I would say like a 6.
All right. I would have given
no
it
decimal
like a
scores
5
needed.
to 6, but then the ending just ruined it for me.
What do you mean, like the cheesy ending, or just like the reveal of the story?
More like the cheesy exposition ending, just showing what's going on.
I like the phone call at the end.
Yeah, but that doesn't make that much sense to me as well, just because how it would work. But
how fast he
then
is.
again,
and stuff.
never explained. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, listen, we'll once again, this is our first impressions about it. Things might change, and
and if if you like Nolan, just check out the film.
I'm
See
sure people
for
will.
yourself.
I'm sure people will.
How
Yeah.
would you like it? Yeah.
But I'm excited to hear your opinion, and I'm also interested in how much my opinion is going to change within the next week, and maybe next episode we can sort of talk about it again and see what changed and what didn't. Maybe we'll hate it even more after thinking about it for a week, but yeah.
We'll see. Hopefully something better comes up.
Little
next
German
week.
word almost slipped in there.
Yeah, almost.
Yeah, almost. Yeah. All right. Well, I think hopefully the discussion was still interesting, and unfortunately the movie wasn't as great as I'd hoped. But I would still, I mean, as you said, if you're interested in the film, you're going to watch it. And I would encourage you to watch it too. And maybe you're smarter than we are, and maybe you'll understand more than we did. But yeah, I mean, those were our first impressions, and yeah, I mean, I think we conveyed most of it. I think this was interesting.
I hope so. And I mean, if you actually watched Tenet when it came out, or like a couple of days after, and you follow us on, I don't know, Twitter or
anywhere, please let us know.
YouTube videos. Yeah, if you've seen it, tell us your opinion. I mean, I'm very interested. What
Explain
people say
it
about
to
this.
us, please.
Yeah, please do. Like, leave a 5-paragraph comment just telling us what the story is actually about.
Yeah. Yeah, great shout. Please do that. I mean, you can always interact with us on Twitter at Best Thing Radio, also on Instagram, where you can follow us and see all the cover art, cover designs, and please, if you're listening to this on any podcasting platform and you haven't pressed the follow button, please do that. And also, you mentioned every week, and I'm grateful that you do, but I want to try something new. Please, if you're listening to this and you haven't checked out the YouTube channel, please literally click on the latest episode now and just give it a like. Even if you like don't want to listen to it on YouTube, or if you don't want to listen to it at all. I mean, that would be interesting because I'm telling you now, so that means you are listening. But please just give it a like and subscribe to the channel. You don't have to watch it. You don't have to click on it ever again, but it just helps if you press the like button or press the subscribe button. And also, we don't know, like, if your privacy settings are a certain way, we don't even see who subscribes. So you don't have to worry about that in case that's a worry of someone. But it would just help us out. Like, anywhere, press the follow button, press the subscribe button, and press the like button. That would be greatly appreciated.
Yeah, please do. And if you actually listen to the podcast regularly, check out the Jake Gyllenhaal episode. I'm very proud of that one.
Yeah. If they're listening regularly, then they hopefully would have checked that one out. Yeah.
But maybe people might be intimidated because like an hour and 20 minutes, 30 minutes.
40.
Jesus Christ. All right.
It's our longest episode, yeah.
It is. And it's one of our best. So check it out.
Like Tenet, it's worth the 2 hours and 30 minutes. I mean, that's
better.
Quite a bad comparison. It's better than Tenet.
I enjoyed it more.
Yeah. Right. Please tell someone about the podcast, and please spread the word. And as always, thank you so much for listening. And we'll be back next week with another regular episode, which hopefully, because next week we'll be on holiday together with a couple of friends, and we talked about this on a previous episode. We might have to record the episode. No, we can record it there.
You want to record there?
I do, yeah. If you bring your mic
there as well, because we get back on Sunday.
Yeah, easy. I think next week's episode could be quite interesting. Hopefully, if all goes to plan.
All right, let's try that one.
Yeah.
Best thing that I've seen: the Flo getting out of the sauna.
All right. I can't say anything. I have never been into that. It's always you and some other people who go to that.
You do the Lutz sauna.
Yeah. So the worst thing I'll see is that.
The worst thing? Oh, come on.
We'll be back
You're gonna
next
enjoy
week.
it.
Take care.
Shave and everything. All right.
What are you talking about?
Bye.
Bye-bye.